Welcome to my story time by mybooksummary.com. Get ready for quick wisdom of countless stories and explore. Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. Once upon a time, in a quaint little Italian village, lived a kind but poor carpenter named Geppetto. His tiny workshop was full of sawdust, wooden planks, and unfinished projects. But despite his love for crafting, he had always felt something was missing in his life. One day, his friend Master Cherry, another carpenter, stumbled upon a peculiar log of wood. Every time he tried to carve it, it cried out. As if it were alive. Terrified, he gave it to Geppetto. This must be fate, Geppetto thought, running his hands over the magical wood. And with that, he carved a little puppet. A boy with a long nose, bright eyes, and a mischievous grin. I shall call him Pinocchio. But before Geppetto could admire his work, something astonishing happened. The puppet blinked, stretched, and suddenly leaped to life. Geppetto's heart swelled with joy. You will be like a son to me, he said. But what Geppetto didn't know was that raising Pinocchio would be more challenging than carving the hardest piece of wood. Pinocchio runs wild. The moment Pinocchio learned to walk, he bolted out the door, laughing wildly as Geppetto chased after him through the streets. The townspeople were not amused. Look at this mad old man, running after a puppet, one lady scoffed. A policeman stopped Geppetto and, after much explaining and a lot of exasperated sighing, let him go. Back home, Geppetto sat Pinocchio down. You must go to school, he said. Education will make you a fine young man. But Pinocchio, easily distracted and full of mischief, had other plans. The puppet show and the gold coins. The very next day, on his way to school, Pinocchio passed by a colorful puppet theater. A puppet show? That's way more fun than school. Without thinking twice, he sold his brand new schoolbook for a ticket and rushed inside. The puppets on stage suddenly froze when they saw him. Pinocchio, one of us. They dragged him onto the stage, cheering. The audience roared with laughter, but not everyone was pleased. Mangiafuoco, the grumpy puppet master, stormed onto the stage. Who is this troublemaker? He thundered. Pinocchio shrank back, fearing he'd be turned into firewood. But Mangiafuoco, despite his gruff exterior, had a soft heart. Take these 5 gold coins, he said. Give them to your father. Excited, Pinocchio ran home, but trouble was waiting for him. Tricked by the fox and the cat. On his way, Pinocchio met a lame fox and a blind cat, 2 con artists who smelled gold and an easy target. My dear boy, the fox said smoothly, have you heard of the field of miracles? If you plant your gold coins, a tree full of money will grow. Pinocchio's wooden jaw dropped. A tree full of gold? Yes, yes, the cat meowed. All the richest men do it. Pinocchio, eager to be rich, followed them to a deserted field. He dug a hole, buried his gold, and waited. The moment he turned away, the sly fox and cat dug up the coins and vanished. Hours later, Pinocchio returned, only to find an empty hole. Oh, he wailed, realizing he'd been tricked. Hungry, lost, and miserable, he wandered aimlessly, until he collapsed at the doorstep of a mysterious blue-haired girl, the blue fairy and the growing nose. Pinocchio awoke in a cozy little house. A beautiful woman with sky-blue hair stood beside him. Tell me, Pinocchio, where are your gold coins? She asked kindly. Not wanting to seem foolish, Pinocchio lied. I didn't lose them. 2 fierce bandits attacked me. At that moment, something strange happened. His nose grew longer. The fairy raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? Yes, they had knives and everything. His nose grew even longer, curling at the tip. Pinocchio, the fairy said, every time you lie, your nose will grow. Horrified, Pinocchio finally confessed the truth. The fairy, satisfied, shrunk his nose back to normal. Go home to Geppetto, she advised. He's searching for you. Pinocchio swore he would, but temptation struck again. The land of toys and the donkey's fate. Before he reached home, Pinocchio ran into his school friend, Lampwick. Forget school, Pinocchio. Come with me to the land of toys. What's that? A place with no rules, no teachers, just fun. Pinocchio hesitated, but fun was his weakness. He hopped aboard the carriage and headed toward the most tempting place on earth. First, it was glorious. Every day was a holiday, and there were no adults to scold them. But after 5 months of non-stop fun, something terrifying happened. One morning, Pinocchio woke up with donkey ears. Then his hands turned into hooves. And then his tail grew out. He screamed, "Lampwick, now a full donkey," brayed in horror. "What's happening to us?" The coachman laughed cruelly. "All naughty boys who come here turn into donkeys. Now, off to the circus with you." Pinocchio was sold to a cruel ringmaster who made him perform tricks. But one day he stumbled and broke his leg. "Useless donkey," the ringmaster sneered. "Throw him into the sea." Pinocchio was tossed into the ocean, but magic was on his side. The water washed away his donkey form, and he became a wooden boy again, swallowed by the giant whale. Finally realizing his mistakes, Pinocchio set off to find Geppetto. But the news he heard shocked him. Geppetto had gone to sea looking for him and had been swallowed by a giant whale. Without hesitation, Pinocchio leaped into the ocean. The waves crashed around him, and before he could react, gulp! He was swallowed whole. Inside the whale's belly, a dim candle flickered. There, sitting on an old raft, was a familiar figure. "Father!" Pinocchio cried. Geppetto's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, Pinocchio, I thought I'd lost you forever." But there was no time to waste. They had to escape. Pinocchio had an idea. "We'll start a fire." Using scraps of wood inside the whale's belly, they lit a small flame. The smoke filled the air, and the giant whale sneezed, blasting them out into the sea. They swam to shore, exhausted but safe. Pinocchio's final transformation. That night, back in their humble home, a miracle happened. Pinocchio, at last, had learned bravery, kindness, and honesty. And with a final act of magic, the blue fairy rewarded him. The wooden puppet stirred, stretched, and blinked, but something was different. His limbs were soft, his heart beat in his chest. He had become a real boy. Geppetto wept with joy. "My son," he whispered, "my real son." Final thoughts. The lesson of Pinocchio. Pinocchio's journey is a tale of temptation, mistakes, and redemption. In the end, our actions define us, not our words. And so, Geppetto and Pinocchio lived happily ever after, this time with no strings attached. Moral of the story? Listen to your father. And don't trust talking foxes. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybooksummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends. And let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybooksummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends. And let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories.